Jacek Berbeka, intriguing, peculiar stories, original tales. Author's note: this is my debut in English. I kindly ask you to listen until the end and share your comments on whether I should translate my other stories. Thank you. Doom Stone. The description includes details of the individuals and historical events referenced in this story. Discuss with your family and friends whether this story could actually happen. On the day when the Zoroastrian stone turns black, and no sign upon it can be discerned, through thunder and fire, the end of the world shall come. Mothers will weep for having borne their children. The fourth book of the Apocryphon of Zohar. Over 3,700 years ago, the prophet Zarathustra wandered through the desert mountains of Asia. God revealed to him the beginning and the end of all things. The silent shapes of the rocks bore witness to their meeting. One of the stones caught the prophet's attention, perhaps due to its snow-white color or oval shape, or maybe because of the black symbol on it, a letter that was also a number, which transformed into an unknown sign. He felt an otherworldly power emanating from it. He took the stone and gifted it to a scribe from Judea who was visiting him, as an eternal testimony of his encounter with God. The stone awakened. It was torn from the place where it had endured for centuries. It knew it had a dreadful mission to fulfill. It embarked on a journey across the world, one that would last for millennia, to mark the passage of time until the very end of ends. With each horror it witnessed, its once snow-white color grew murky, gray, and darkened, drawing closer to the black symbol upon it, a symbol that was a letter, and the letter was a number, which transformed into an unknown sign. This will continue until the world is consumed by fire. Then the stone will turn completely black, just as Zohar foretold. No one will ever know whether the darkening stone is merely a sign, or if it also brings forth the evil in which it partakes. The snow-white stone with the black symbol felt the scent of a leather pouch and the swaying of a camel. It heard the calls of the guides. In Judea, in the valley of Elah, near a desert rock that everyone stumbled upon, it fell from the scribe's pouch. It was this stone that, in the 10th century BCE, was used by David in his sling to slay Goliath in their duel. The stone was no longer snow-white. When David became the king of Judah, he heard a whisper in his mind: "Take the beautiful Bathsheba, the wife of the warrior Uriah, and place him on the front line of battle so that he may die." And so it happened. King David paid for this with the death of his first child born to Bathsheba. The stone grew grayer. King Nebuchadnezzar II turned the stone over in his fingers, the one he found in Solomon's temple, which he had destroyed after capturing Jerusalem. He stared into the hypnotic black symbol, a symbol that was a letter, and the letter was a number, which transformed into an unknown sign. At last, he subdued and exiled the Judeans to Babylon. The stone darkened in his hand, or so it seemed to him. 500 years later, during a journey through the desert, the stone was found and hidden in his robe by Jesus, called by some the King of the Jews. It was then that, for 40 days, the evil spirit began tempting him. After Jesus was crucified, the stone with the black symbol was won by a Roman soldier in a game of dice for the Messiah's garments. The stone changed its color. A few years later, during the stoning of the first Christian martyr, Stephen, the soldier dealt him a fatal blow with the stone, and its gray hue turned murky. What happened to it in the centuries that followed, no one knows. Years later, the stone was sold to merchants and sailed to England. Henry VIII, Tudor, enjoyed holding the exotic stone, brought to him from the Ottoman Empire by Thomas Cromwell. The king stared at the intriguing black symbol, a symbol that was a letter, and the letter was a number, which transformed into an unknown sign. He pondered his next wife and how to become the head of the church. For the next 2 centuries, the stone bore witness to the injustice and evil of the monarchy. It continued to darken during the French Revolution as it witnessed the reign of terror and thousands of executions. In Yekaterinburg, on the night of July 16th to 17th, 1918, the air was humid. In the basement of the Ipatiev house, Tsar Nicholas II, along with his wife, 5 children and servants, unsuspectingly posed for a documentary photo for the revolutionaries. They held cushions filled with valuables in their hands. Among the treasures was the stone stolen by Tsarist spies during the French Revolution. Soon, surrounded by the smoke of gunpowder, they were all dead. The valuables and the stone were seized by the Bolsheviks. Reichsleiter Alfred Rosenberg, commander of the ERR unit of the NSDAP, oversaw the looting of Scythian gold in Crimea. Among the artifacts, he found a stone with a peculiar black symbol. He gifted it to his friend, SS Obersturmbannführer Rudolf Höss, the commandant of the Auschwitz-Birkenau complex. There, the stone darkened more than ever before. After the liberation of the Auschwitz, German concentration camp by the 1st Ukrainian Front of the Red Army, Marshal Ivan Stepanovich Konev took as a memento of victory a dark graphite stone from the desk of the camp commandant. The stone bore a piercing black symbol, a symbol that was a letter, and the letter was a number which transformed into an unknown sign. After the war, the stone ended up in private hands in Kiev. It bore witness to the atrocities following Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine. With each act of savagery, it grew darker. Agent Katza Aaron Levy from Mossad's intelligence department was transporting the unusual stone to Israel. The Ukrainian authorities had requested isotope dating and an investigation into why the strange stone changed color. The plane he was on was hit by a Hezbollah missile and crashed in Palestinian territories. Everyone on board perished. The darkening stone was seized by the Palestinians. As it bore witness to the atrocities in the Middle East, it took on the color of anthracite. Time passed, but the world remained unchanged. On that day, the time came for a radical change. The Standing Committee of the Politburo of the Communist Party of China made a secret decision to initiate war. The commander of the rocket forces of the People's Liberation Army, General Wang Tzu, issued the order to attack the United States and Europe. The first strike was to be swift, coordinated with Russia and Iran, involving hundreds of conventional missiles. This was to be followed by air and ground forces. The stone had become almost completely black, its symbol barely visible, a symbol that was a letter, and the letter was a number, which transformed into an unknown sign. After the launch of Chinese and Iranian missiles, disaster struck. Due to a faulty line of code, Russia's automated nuclear response system, Perimeter RT, known as the Dead Hand, was activated. Russia automatically launched all 1,783 nuclear warheads at the United States and Europe. There could only be one response. At that moment, the Zoroastrian stone turned completely black, and the symbol, a letter that was also a number, which transformed into an unknown sign, could no longer be discerned. The stone chakras, which had protected the world since ancient times, began to tremble until they cracked and crumbled into black dust. There was no more protection, no salvation. A blinding flash, fire and unbearable heat merged with a deafening thunder that circled the globe. The darkness of a centuries-long nuclear winter had fallen. The first ray of sunlight rested upon a black oval stone protruding from rocks, melted by atomic explosions. Through the stone's blackness, a faintly brighter symbol began to emerge, a symbol that was a letter, and the letter was a number, which transformed into an unknown sign. A sign not carved by any human hand. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments, and I'll translate more of my intriguing tales. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated.